Hey everybody, it's Allie and welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, January 22nd, 2017. How do people in Miami even buy drugs when it's so difficult to schedule a meeting to buy the drugs? Dylan spent 3/4 of the week just trying to hand this huge drug lord guy Fisk a briefcase full of cash plus 5% over the asking price. He should know right then and there that this is a cop sting operation. Nobody just decides to hand over an additional 5% of a large sum of money out of the goodness of their heart just to sweeten the deal. I mean, it's so ridiculous. I'm surprised his cover wasn't blown then and there, but let's back up just a little bit, because while Dylan is still in Miami on his undercover mission, Sharon is at home in Genoa City wringing her hands. She doesn't know where her husband is. She doesn't know how much danger he is in. Nobody will tell her anything. She goes to the police station just trying to get some answers about what's going on with her husband. Nobody will even really talk to her and sit down and help her understand what's really going on here. So she decides to take matters into her own hands, and she snoops around in Paul's office, finds one of the secret burner phones that Dylan's been using to communicate with the GCPD. I shouldn't even go into the fact that this is so clearly would be an FBI operation. Why exactly is Dylan even doing this mission in the first place? How is this connected to the Genoa City Police Department at all? I'm digressing. Anyway, Sharon finds the phone, the burner phone, and she picks it up and she decides this is her one and only way to possibly talk to her husband. I don't know how she knew that it was going to connect her directly to Dylan, but she does. She makes a phone call, and Dylan is in the middle of negotiating, we'll call it, with Fisk's number 2 lady, Alex. Alex hears the phone ring. She decides to pick up the call. Here's a woman on the other end of it and starts to question Dylan, aka Derek, about why would a woman be calling him? I thought your boss was a man. This seems sort of off. Sharon smartly at least hangs up the phone, doesn't continue to try to ask questions or anything. She realizes this was a dumb move immediately, I'm sure. She hangs up the phone, and she now has Dylan hanging in this horrible situation. It was extremely ironic that Sharon inadvertently ended up pushing Dylan into a situation where he had to prove himself to Alex to cover up his tracks. And he did prove himself. My heart is breaking into about a billion pieces right now. Dylan brings new meaning to the term deep cover. With Alex. I can't believe it. I can't believe it. He has to have sex with her in order to prove that he is really who he says he is, which he isn't. Gosh, I cannot believe he went through with it. I was absolutely shocked. It was so hard watching Dylan try to pretend that he was interested in this woman and try to seduce her, and it was absolutely painful to watch. In terms of the case, though, I'm trying to understand where his mind must have been, because he has to go through with it in his mind, or else A, he could end up blowing his cover and put himself into mortal danger, and B, he has to go through with it, or everything he's done so far is all for nothing. He has to continue down this path so that he can catch these bad guys and complete his mission. He doesn't want to just blow everything that everyone has worked so hard for, but he has betrayed Sharon. He's a married man. He has a wife sitting back in Genoa City who's worried sick about him, and he's having sex with another woman. He betrayed his wife. He knows it. He knows it immediately, of course, that he's done something that he didn't want to do. He has passed a point of no return. I was so so saddened at the scene. I'm not sure which day it was, but it was the day when Sharon was at home caressing Dylan's wedding ring, which is now being kept hidden away in a box in her living room. She's caressing his wedding ring while he has just had sex with Alex and is caressing the space on his finger where his wedding ring used to be. I would love to give him a waterfall of tears, except I'm so mad at him for doing this. Dylan is supposed to be the good guy, and here we are seeing him evolve into some sort of new kind of different being. I'm not saying that he is, doing it on purpose or that he wanted to sleep with another woman. I mean, for crying out loud, I'm sure there are plenty of guys who would have been perfectly happy to take this assignment. Like, you mean I get to go undercover and pretend to be some other guy for a while, having sex with beautiful, sexy women? Where do I sign up? But Dylan doesn't want that, and it was so just shocking to see that he would actually go through with it. I mean, Dylan's kind of been our American Pie good guy sort of character, and what he did in that moment, in my opinion, was totally amoral. I wanted him to find a way to get out of it. I didn't want to see him go through with this. I can't believe that he would have sex with another woman all for this. I mean, even if he wasn't married, let's take Sharon out of the picture. It's so gross that he would have sex with a woman just to go through with this police thing, this sting operation. It just seems bizarre to me that he would actually go through with it, that he would actually go all the way. I'm sure that he was sickened with himself in that moment too, and in the moments following, there was a moment where he actually was able to have a conversation with Paul and follow up about what happened, and he told Paul, everything that was going on in Miami, and that he felt like all of these people who he's interacting with are garbage, and now so am I. That was such a great line, and it really speaks to where Dylan's head is in this moment. He has done something that is so against the very fundamentals of who he is, and now he feels like garbage. Another great follow-up scene after the phone call with Paul was when Dylan was just looking at himself in the mirror saying, "Who the hell am I? Who the hell am I?" He's just looking in the mirror. I'm not sure if he said that to Paul or if he said it in the mirror. But that also really speaks to where he is at this point in the operation and in his life. He doesn't know, though, that Sharon is the one who made the phone call. He doesn't know that Sharon kind of almost screwed up everything. He just knows that he's betrayed his wife. He thinks that phone call came from Chris. And I honestly, I thought that Paul was going to rip Sharon a new one when he discovered that Sharon had been in his office, had been snooping around, and that she was the one who actually did make that phone call. Paul marched right over to Sharon's house, and I thought he was going to let her have it. But instead, there was this tenderness that Paul gave to her that I think she really needed in that moment. I mean, I think Paul and Sharon both share this love of Dylan, and they are both also painfully aware of how dangerous this situation is. Sharon is going to, she feels so guilty for what she did. She has said, if anything happens to Dylan and it's because of me and because of the phone call that I made, I'm never going to forgive myself. And Paul knows very much that he has put his son into a situation of mortal danger. I mean, this drug business thing is no joke. A scraggly beard guy got shot this week. When Dylan goes to meet with Fisk, when he finally gets to go face to face with this drug lord guy, Fisk is having his goons beat up some other guy. He's bleeding talking, and they take him out of the room, and we hear a gunshot. So presumably we are, as the audience, being told that this is a very serious situation. Dylan could get a bullet in the head just like this other guy just did. So I mean, it's a very bad situation. The drug guy doesn't trust Dylan, aka Derek, for 1 second. I can't blame him. Dylan is so obviously a cop. The way he was asking questions about, saying his boss wants details of exactly what ship, what's the name of the ship that the drugs are gonna come in on. He was asking so many details that it seemed obvious to me. You need to play it a little bit more cool, Dylan. It just seemed like that he could get busted at any second, but finally, it appears as if he has been arranged to been taken to the drugs. The Fisk says one of his goons, is gonna drive Dylan to the pier where they're gonna make the drug exchange. I kind of did like the the guy that played the hefty goon that was driving the car that Dylan was in. I thought, if it doesn't work out for this guy being an assistant goon to a drug lord in Miami, he could always come to Genoa City and get a job guarding Billy at Chabot. He reminded me of the security guard at Chabot that was hired by Jack to keep an eye on Billy. Who knows, maybe there's somebody else in town that we could have that guy keep an eye on. We'll see. I predict big things for this goon. No, actually, he's a very bad guy. He is driving Dylan to this supposed drug deal, and Dylan realizes that the car is headed in a wrong direction. They're supposed to be going to the pier, and Dylan and the car are headed into the mainland. He starts to ask questions, and the goon locks the doors. So now Dylan is trapped in a car that's headed who knows where. I mean, he was able to successfully record. He must have been wearing a wire. She checked him. Alex checked him for a wire back in the hotel room. I don't know why they wouldn't have checked him for a wire now, but apparently he was wearing a wire. He was able to record the Fisk telling the goon guy that they were going to the pier and what the name of the ship was, and all. He recorded some key information that I'm assuming he was successfully able to transmit to GCPD or FBI or whatever. But the problem is that information is bunk. That's only where Dylan thinks that he's going. That's only where they wanted them to think that they were going. So my guess is either they knew right away that Dylan was a cop and they gave that information to trip him up, or they figured it out sometime along the way. But I'm kind of thinking that maybe that is where the SWAT team will end up descending. I mean, I would imagine that if Dylan was able to transmit that info back, then that's where the cops would want to be to finally snag this big drug lord. The only problem is Dylan's not going to be there at the pier. Dylan's not going to be anywhere near it. The drugs aren't going to be there. The operation is already botched, and Dylan may or may not be screwed again. I just don't know. And I don't know if this is the end of Dylan. Is this the end of Dylan? I thought last week was the end of Dylan. I keep waiting for it to happen, but there was no Friday show. So the last we saw was a Thursday episode. I don't know if they're going to pick it back up on Monday. There was no preview for Monday's show that included Dylan, so I don't know if this was our goodbye to Dylan or if there is going to be more scenes next week. It really bums me out, because even though I'm not happy with the choices that Dylan has made within the end of his stay in Miami, I think it was terrible that he slept with this other woman. I like that we're seeing this added level of dimension to Dylan's character, that he's not so American Pie. He's not Mr. Squeaky Clean. He is willing to go all the way, and that includes compromising his own morals, and to me that makes him even more of a compelling character than he was before. Why do I have to start loving Dylan so much when he's dead meat? Last week I was happy with our new read. This week I'm thrilled with our new Reed. Who knew that the key to my heart was Reed trying to buy internet porn with Victoria's gold card? Bravo! Bravo, Reed. Bravo, Y&R writers. That was awesome. I just loved seeing Victoria's gold card sitting there and him looking at it while he really wants to log in to this paid porn site. I just about died when the babysitter came in with the two other kids and almost caught him in the act of going through with getting into this porn site. He stood up and it was a good thing that he had this strategically tied flannel shirt around his waist. I thought it's a good thing. It's a good thing that you've got that shirt right where you've got it right now, because the things you were thinking, Reed. That could have been an even more awkward interruption by the babysitter and the kids. So why would you do that in the public family room anyway? Don't you have a laptop upstairs? Something. You gotta be a little more slick, Reed, about it. But I like it. It was a funny moment for me. It really reminded me of when Y&R, I don't even know what year this was. I'm gonna guess it was in the late 90s, but they cast Colleen Carlton as a one of the younger cast. I don't know how old she was. I don't know if she was in high school or in college, but they cast her and aged her. They rapidly aged her to sort of a teen. I think she must have been a teen. And I loved when they brought Colleen onto the scene and she was smoking pot. I just thought, I love when these kids do bad things. It was one of my favorite storylines. Something about it just really hit me. It's like, good. You know, I like when the kids come on and they're a little bit different and they're actually doing bad things that bad kids do. I think it's the syndrome of, you know, that bothers me about Faith. You know, I would 10 times rather have a Colleen Carlton smoking weed up in her bedroom at Brad, and I think he was probably married to Ashley at the time's house, or I would rather have Reed buying internet porn over Faith starting a chess club any day of the week. That's more interesting to me. Take me down into I mean, these are fabulously rich people. You know, I want to see their kids behaving badly. So this was excellent for me. And I think the thing also that is appealing to me about what's currently going on with Reed's character is that he's just a normal kid. He's a normal kid who's curious about adult things. That is endearing to me because it's a real type of storyline. Reed wants to try a little bit of everything. He sees the adults, you know, he knows that they drink alcohol, so he wants to drink alcohol. Victor throws this party at the top of the tower this week, and Reed is sneaking around in his dorky little plaid jacket, sneaking around the ballroom hall, trying to get himself a drink of alcohol, and he manages to swig a couple of drinks, in fact probably more than a couple of drinks, and he goes home with Victoria and ends up barfing out of the front door. She didn't catch him. I was rooting for him. I was staring at my screen saying, come on, please don't catch him, Victoria. I want to see Reed get away with this. I didn't want to see him get in trouble, and I was glad that he didn't. It was funny. It was a comedic sort of little element to what's a serious situation. I like that he's trying to experience all of these different things, and it ended in a bad result. Maybe that'll teach him a lesson, and kids need to learn lessons on their own. So who knows, maybe it was good for him all along. But I think the thing about Reed's character is that he feels out of place. He feels out of place probably at school, and he unfortunately feels out of place with his family. He doesn't fit in, but I think he's trying. I like the fact that this kid is trying. I've got to give him credit for not rolling his eyes when Nikki suggested that, oh, since he plays the guitar, hey kid, since you play the guitar, maybe you'd be interested in joining the school band to play the cello. It's kind of hard to rock out on the cello, Grandma. Victor threw his top of the tower Newman family dinner with everyone gathered, and I thought it was sweet that he thought to invite Chelsea. I'm not entirely sure if it's more because he misses his son, he misses Adam, and he wants to welcome Chelsea into the family as a way to keep in touch with her, as a way to keep in touch with Connor, or if he's got ulterior motives when it comes to Chelsea and Nick. I'm not sure. Victor is the only other one besides Chelsea who knows the truth about Christian's paternity. Not sure, but he certainly loves seeing Christian and Connor together. He made a comment saying, I hope that they'll be as close as two brothers can be. So he knows, and I think he is trying to facilitate that. Maybe it truly is just because he wants that family togetherness, but it created some awkwardness between Nick and Chelsea. Frankly, I think that Chelsea is far more stressed about the kiss that they had on New Year's Eve than the huge secret she's keeping from him. Why am I not seeing her feeling guilty about that? It feels like a big storyline hole for me, and Y&R needs to get back to that. I don't know if they're just gonna let it drop or what, but I did love the dinner. I was happy that everyone was there. I loved that everyone went around the table and had offered their guess as to why Victor called this family dinner. You know, I'm sure everybody thought that Victor had an ulterior motive, or that he was calling everybody there together just to razz on them or interrupt in their lives or announce some kind of big new venture of his. But in the end, no. Victor just said, I wanted you all here simply because I wanted my family together, and family is very important. But where was Abby? I don't think Abby was there. Am I wrong, or did I miss her? But I don't think she was there. Last week's poll question was, would you like to see Abby become the new CEO of Newman Enterprises? Overwhelmingly, 78% of you said, no. How about no to Abby sitting in the big chair permanently? 22% of you said yes, relinquish the chair to Abby. Mostly, it's predictably, of course, most of us thought that Abby would not really be a good CEO because she just doesn't seem to be able to pull it off. Whether it's Abby, the character, or Abby, the actress, sorry to say, there is something about it that does seem like a big leap of believability, but at the same time, I do think maybe if we had a different actress, or if the situations were different, or if Y&R works really, really hard to build it up, it could be something great for Abby. It could be something really interesting to see her come into herself and really develop her business acumen, as opposed to always being seen as kind of the ditzy blonde. I don't know. Victor seems to be taking it easy though for now. Someone's gonna have to take that place. I wonder if Y&R is building that up. Are we building towards somebody taking over? If it's not Abby, then who? I'm sure that Victor will get back to his business storylines and his who knows, world domination eventually. But for now, I really do think it is a nice change of pace. I really, really like seeing Victor as the family man. I think we should enjoy it. We can start working on Victor Newman's run for the presidency later on down the road. Victor Newman for president in 2020. Oh no, Brash and Sassy has an important photo shoot and they're stuck with no model. Who on earth could possibly be a last-minute replacement? Oh my goodness. Lily in that red dress, that gorgeous sort of heart-shaped red dress with that heart-shaped pendant that she had around her neck. I mean, she was dripping in jewels, looking ultra glamorous, ultra beautiful. I loved Lily in the photo shoot. I thought it was fantastic. And I liked that Jill came up with the idea to use Lily as a replacement, and I liked that Billy was there kind of coaching her
her behind the scenes. Lily and Billy used to have a friendship that sort of disappeared, but I don't think they were they both Glow by Jabot kids? I'm not sure, but they did at least used to be friends. I remember them having conversations, and it's good to have especially girl and guy friends on the show. So I thought that was kind of a nice little throwback to the past, Billy and Lily, and it was a really cool sequence. The whole photo shoot sequence with the lights and the camera still shots and the photos showing up on the screen of the people who were watching the photo shoot. I thought it was really great, and Kane walks through the door, sees his wife standing there, and he kind of smiled, I thought he seemed sort of happy about it. I'm sure it was shocking to walk in and see his wife there doing the photo shoot, but my impression of the scene when I looked at Kane's face was Kane is impressed with his wife, and he is gonna be supportive of her and not be jealous or territorial or anything like that. But then later on, Billy made some kind of comment about him seeing the look on Kane's face, and he was interpreting it as Kane being not happy about the whole thing. I would like to hope that whatever Billy was picking up on was more about Jill not asking Kane and nobody telling him that this was going on at the business, rather than him being upset about the idea of his wife modeling. I'm going to be really annoyed if Kane is not happy with Lily taking a career or taking her career in a different direction, or just doing a project for a day that would make her feel good about herself. Kane should be proud that his wife is so sexy and so alluring, and she is an ex-model. This is something that is right, it's right in her wheelhouse. Why wouldn't she take this job? Boys and men all across this great country will need to be strategically tying their flannel shirts and jackets around their waists after seeing these photos. Oh, the week started out with such promise for Devon and Hilary. Devon is on the mend, he's feeling much better, and everything that happened with the accident and him being in the hospital and being near death has given him a new lease on life. He is in a really good place, he's feeling positive, and he loves his wife, and he tells her, springs on her, that he thinks it's time they start a family. I was shocked as soon as he said it to her, that he says, I think we should have a baby. On the one hand, I'm thrilled about it because I thought, oh, the Y&R chatters have been predicting this since the very beginning of 2016, that Hilary would become pregnant. So finally it's happening. And then the other part of me is looking at Hilary saying, don't do it, girl. Don't do it. Babies cry and they poop and they spit up, and it is really hard to get your 9 hours of beauty rest. Not to mention hosting a video series about the young and the restless. I mean, the buzz in Genoa City. It's all very hard. Don't do it, Hilary. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. It would have been great if we had a Devon baby on the scene, but that is not how it ended up turning out. The week took a total turn. But before it did, oh my gosh, Hilary and Mariah also made up, and surprise twist, Hilary was the one who initiated it. She comes to Genoa City Buzz, GC Buzz, and she talks to Mariah and says she wants to put everything behind them. She's sorry about what she did to Mariah. Mariah is sorry about what she did to her. They kind of call it even, and Hilary didn't have an agenda behind it. I thought to myself, is she going to ask Mariah to keep her mouth shut about everything that happened to Devon in exchange for the let's, get along and have a happier workplace environment? But she didn't do that at all. She just wanted to simply bury the hatchet. So it went a long way for offering some goodwill probably to the audience, the Y&R fans, and for Mariah in that moment, but it really didn't last long. It didn't take very long for Mariah to trip and fall into accidentally revealing Hilary's secret. She doesn't mean to, but Mariah comes up to Devon and has a very frank conversation with him about everything that happened at the benefit, spilling the beans about the fact that she did what she did with the teleprompter and she was really sorry. And Mariah was, of course, saying this out of guilt. She cares about Devon and she feels terrible that what she did at the benefit sort of started the chain reaction that led to his car crash. So she just wanted to unburden herself, and Devon is taking stock. He's listening. He said, tell me more about everything that happened that night. And he just tucks it under his hat, acts like this is not a surprise to him, goes home and lets it rip to Hilary. He didn't let it linger very long. I didn't know how long he was going to keep the secret, if he was going to let Hilary go on and dig her own grave and continue to pretend, but he just very kind of calmly revealed to her, at first calmly, that he knew the truth and he was taking it very well. He was just sipping on his liquor drink and listening and slowly revealing the fact that he knew the truth. And I guess I feel bad about this, but I'm watching Devon and Hilary have this argument, okay, about just rehashing all of the same stuff that they were rehashing before and during the night of the accident. And I just keep thinking, is it really that big of a deal? I mean, is he really gonna be that mad at her about, he called it, what he called it, kind of a middle school prank. I can't believe that you would do that to Mariah. But is it that surprising? B, is it that big of a deal in terms of your relationship? It just doesn't seem like a big enough deal to warrant the big reaction that he had. I understand that it's really more about the entirety of their relationship as opposed to this one single incident. But I mean, he started talking about how their whole relationship was a mistake. I guess he's just feeling betrayed all over again. But really, you think the whole relationship was a mistake? You betrayed your father to have a relationship with Hilary. You were convinced more than anybody ever that you two were meant to be together. You guys fought so hard and so long and through so much to be together, and now you just think that the whole thing was a mistake? I guess I just kind of felt for her. I'm not sure why, but I felt for her, and I was thinking that maybe he was overreacting a little bit. You guys are gonna kill me for saying that, but I mean, shoot, he told her to pack her things and go to hell, which I'm sure at least half of you were very happy about. The other half was probably not happy. As he was like having his little fit and he took his liquor glass and threw it and smashed it, I was just sitting there with my arms crossed thinking, if I was her, my first response would be, I am not cleaning that up. I would just let him know right then and there, you can have your little fit, but I am not cleaning up that broken glass. That was unacceptable. Throwing things is absolutely unacceptable. I mean, he had his little fit too. I guess I'm just rooting for Hilary and Devon for one reason or another. She unfortunately has had her enlightenment moment way too late. She really should have started to wake up about the fact that she was going to lose her relationship months ago. This should have happened months ago, but instead it's happening now. He completely kicks her out. I mean, it is, as far as Devon is concerned, over for Devon and Hilary. I can't stop thinking back, though, to the very good advice that Jack gave to Hilary at the very beginning of the week, which also may have changed this outcome. Jack told her, hey, look, if it was me and I was in Devon's shoes, I would rather find out from the person that I love, from my loved one. I'd rather find out from you than from someone else. So Jack did kind of warn her and kind of encourage her to start telling Devon the truth. And if she would have, maybe it would have made a difference. Maybe he wouldn't have had this big blow up reaction, and maybe he wouldn't have kicked her out. I'm not sure, but for crying out loud, the previews for Monday's show let us know that she has a whole lot more than broken glass to clean up. She has to go around and try to make this right, and her first idea of what to do is to go to Lily for help. That makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. How in the hell is Lily gonna help you? Lily seems to have a new lease on life as well. She has decided to stop making herself blue in the face, trying to convince Devon to leave Hilary, but I wouldn't expect her to help Hilary put the pieces back together.
Michael Baldwin saves the day. Almost. Really, really close, Michael. I mean, unfortunately, Gloria is gonna find a way to muck it up. Michael is such a smart guy. I mean, he could have been helping Lauren all along. I'm so glad that she finally confided in him because he was able to help her secure a brand new investor, somebody who is everything that she's been looking for, and he's a friend and a friend of the family. He somehow knows Gloria, unfortunately. I guess, and Michael's connection to this guy was a solution, but it also created a problem that's going to lead to a bigger problem, and that problem's name is Gloria. This new investor guy somehow knows Gloria. I don't know how in the heck he knows Gloria. I don't know why in the heck he's interested in Gloria. The implication being that he might be romantically interested in Gloria. Why? Does this guy have a thing for leopard print? Older ladies in leopard print? Makes no sense to me whatsoever. He's like a smart, young, good-looking billionaire. He could have anyone. Why would he want Gloria? I seriously thought that he was just blowing smoke when he was going on about how he was going to call her. Oh, yeah, I'm going to call you so much you're going to be sick of me. I thought he was just, like something that you say. But apparently he's really into her. I don't know. And Gloria is apparently not into him. I don't know when Gloria became so highfalutin that she's just blowing off billionaire guys, young billionaire guys, especially for someone like Jeffrey. I mean, the implication is Gloria could have this guy and she chose not to. Please. She called him Nice But Boring Craig. His new name is Nice But Boring Craig. He's got money, Gloria. Since when did that ever stop you? I'm surprised she didn't think of this plan years ago if she knew a single billionaire. She's been joking. She was joking to Jack this week about marrying the guy. I mean, go for it, Gloria, but I have no idea how that is going to stop Craig, Nice But Boring Craig, from going into business with Lauren. Certainly not without Michael and Lauren finding out anyway. I just don't know. She's going to try to squash this deal somehow so that she can open up the door for Jack to come in, swoop in, and take Fenmore's. Are you really doing all of this for a job, Gloria? Is that your end goal? You just want a job at Fenmore's? You want a power position at Fenmore's? You're willing to sabotage your daughter-in-law's company and risk your relationship possibly forever with her and with your own son, and you want to do it all just so that you can have this job? It makes absolutely no sense to me. Jack brought that up this week. They were having a meeting at the top of the tower, which I'm surprised that Jack ever wants to go there again since Victor owns the building, but he's having a meeting with her there, and he mentions that you're doing all of this for a job. It's absolutely ridiculous. He doesn't know how she's going to procure the company for him. I don't think she knows how she's going to procure the company for him, but Phyllis happens to walk in and see Jack and Gloria having this conversation. Now, Phyllis knows something is up. She knows, based on a conversation with Michael, that Gloria seems like she's up to something, and Phyllis also knows that she knows Craig the investor. So Phyllis has a little eyebrow raised at this meeting, and of course it's going to result in some hilarity next week. We saw the preview from Monday's show that there's going to be some kind of way that Gloria and Jack are going to hilariously cover up the fact that they were meeting together. They walk into the athletic club, and Phyllis is, I think, questioning them, and Gloria is hanging on Jack, telling Phyllis that it was just too bad she let this one go. Wink, wink. I'm really excited for that. That'll be a fun little moment on Monday's show. The implication that Gloria and Jack might be together, or that Gloria's interested in Jack. I don't know. Why not? Hey, why not? That might be a fun little pairing. Oh, just two devious people putting their heads together. So, speaking of Phyllis,
this week, Phyllis tried to woo Ravi away from Jabot using all of her assets, all of her breast assets, her body, trying to get Ravi to pop his eyeballs and then just be mesmerized enough to follow Phyllis blindly over to Fenmore's to work for their company and on their website. I feel sorry for Ravi because this poor guy has probably never touched a real boob in his entire life. I think it's all internet porn for Ravi. Maybe Reed should talk to Ravi about how to access internet porn. I bet Ravi knows all the best sites. The real dirty ones. Oh, Ravi. Does anybody think that Ashley is a little too invested in Ravi? I was surprised this week. She found out that Phyllis was trying to woo Ravi away, and she seemed really personally offended. Like she was taking it all way too personally. Like she was hurt. She was hurt that she has tried to cultivate a relationship with Ravi and that he would even think about going to another company, taking a meeting with someone else. Just really, I think, hurt her ego more than anything. She got kind of territorial on him, and I thought, I think you got to be careful, Ashley. I can understand being mad at Phyllis, but I don't know why you're mad at Ravi. It was just bizarre. I don't know. I'm not sure that I'm not sure what the nature of Ashley's interest in Ravi is. Do you think it's a little bit personal? And if so, and if not, I guess, then I think she needs to take it easy with him. I'm not sure that Ravi, if he's as naive as he says he is, or as he appears to be, I'm not sure he knows the difference between Ashley being kind and being nurturing and Ashley being actually interested in him. I can't see where are we going with the Ravi thing, I guess, is the burning question that's in my mind, because I can't see him becoming a stalker in a way. He just doesn't seem dangerous to me. The biggest part of me thinks that, Ravi's going to get his little heart broken by Ashley, but there's also the possibility that there's more going on with him than meets the eye. I'm wondering is there any chance, or maybe I'm just stretching here, but is there any chance that Ravi is going to reveal himself to be a master manipulator who is taking both companies for a ride? Maybe he is going to steal the technology from Jabot, not give it to Fenmore's and take it off for himself or for someone else. I mean, he revealed this week that his father is what was he? He was a rocket scientist. His mother is a neuroscientist, a neurosurgeon, and he's just this little scrawny guy working for a company in Wisconsin, probably not making that much money, not even with the desk that he wants. I don't know. I mean, is he really as innocent as he's wanting us to believe? I'm not sure about that, but I think that we need to get a poll going on that. Do you guys think that Ravi is just a kind of nerdy and naive guy, the nerdy and naive guy that he appears to be on the surface, or is Ravi a master manipulator? I want to get some comments and some polls on that, poll on that this week. Go to yrchat.com if you want to tell me what your beat is on Ravi. Is he nerdy and naive, or is he actually a master manipulator? Also, if you go to yrchat.com, you will see our weekly little Who Said It game, wherein I pick out a quote from last week's Young and the Restless, and I see if you guys can guess who said it. Last week's quote was, "I'm a dead man." It was Kevin Fisher who said that quote to Michael, and he was talking to Michael, but he was making the comment about being a dead man because he has allowed Gloria to come move in with him and Chloe. There's just so much potential comedy there. I hope we actually do get to see Gloria living with Kevin and Chloe and getting up under Chloe's skin, maybe deciding to filter or pilfer through her closets, find a little secret,
something. I really would like to see that threesome. There's some comedy there that I think shouldn't be missed. It's gold. But let's see, 6 of you guessed that it was Kevin who is the dead man, and the 6 people were Henry, Sandra, Jillian, Colleen, Sharita, and Jamie. Yay! Congratulations, you guys. Let's see. I think it's time for this week's Who Said It quote. Sometimes, I like the funny ones, but sometimes I think Y&R is philosophy. Sometimes I think that the writers get so deep and give us things that are just really wonderful sentiments about life, and I think this week's quote is one of those. So you tell me who you think said this. Life isn't just a gift, but a series of them. I think that's such a nice idea, and it's so true. It depends on, I suppose, how you see the world, but I think that's a really great quote. Life isn't just a gift, but a series of them. If you think you know who said that during this past week's show, you can go to yrchat.com and leave your guess. I think it's time now to get to some of your comments. It occurred to me a couple weeks ago, and I'm just now putting this into action this week, but especially if you're listening to the podcast, it's probably hard to tell where the comment that you guys have left for me begins and ends, and where my response comments begin, because it's all like the same voice, and I try to make it distinct. But I thought maybe what I would do from here on out is when I read a comment, that I would start it, by saying when the quote begins and end it when the quote ends, so that it's easy to tell when I'm reading a comment and when I'm responding to comment. I hope that works. I don't know. We'll give it a try this week, and I'll see if it works. Daisy on Facebook, who said last week that she thought that Ravi had a lot more to his character than meets the eye, also has a good comment here regarding Sharon. And Daisy says, quote, I think the knowledge of Sharon not listening to Paul and Christine, of being selfish and demanding to speak to Dylan, then calling Dylan's phone, knowing that he's undercover, will be the catalyst that finally breaks Sharon. And I think it will be a break that we have not yet seen. Could she be strong enough to withstand Dylan disappearing? I don't think so. End quote from Daisy. They did say Sharon was talking to Mariah at the very end of Thursday's show, and she did make a comment saying, if something happens to Dylan, then I don't know what I would do. It's pretty clear that Sharon is going to feel incredibly guilty if whatever happens to Dylan, gets back to her. If there is an assumption that he's dead or that something went wrong with the mission, then Sharon isn't going to forgive herself. She is going to have to live with that guilt, and it is going to be very difficult for her. We've seen Sharon being very strong over these past couple of weeks, strong with what happened to her and the loss of Sully, and strong in letting Dylan go off and doing what he needed to do. So I think you might be right, Daisy, that we could be seeing Sharon start to come apart again, which is not necessarily what I think myself and a lot of the fans want to see. I think we do like seeing this stronger version of Sharon. So if they do use this as an excuse to drive Sharon over the edge, hopefully it's going to be, somewhere toward the middle, maybe a tasteful breakdown. Something that'll give us some good, moments where we can understand what Sharon's going through, as opposed to just looking back and saying, oh, Sharon, you're crazy. Sandra at yrchat.com says, quote, I'm surprised Dylan went through with sleeping with Alex. I just figured he'd somehow wiggle his way out of it. Sharon is so emotionally immature and insecure. She's been through hell and back, so I can see why she behaves the way she does, but picking up that phone and calling the number on it was beyond stupid. She endangered her husband. She needs to put her big girl panties on and deal with whatever comes her way and trust her husband. Just hang in there till he comes home. End quote.
I'm glad that you mentioned that about Dylan going through with it and being surprised about it, because I really thought that Dylan was going to get out of it too. As he was smooching up on her and it was clear that things were trying to go to the next level, I thought, why don't you just make up some excuse about something you need to do? Or, I felt like there was probably a million other ways that he could have got out of it and didn't. But I guess the thing is, I can't help empathizing with Sharon, though. Of course, it's totally dumb that she went and made that phone call. She compromised Dylan's case. She could have been compromising another case. We don't know. She didn't know what she was doing. She was just going off being Sharon and doing something irresponsible, and it unfortunately led to a bad situation, and she's going to pay for the price for that too. I know there's been a lot of talk this week about Paul and Chris and how they probably did make the situation worse by keeping Sharon in the dark about this whole thing. T. Nicole at YRChat.com says, quote, "It's actually better for Paul and Christine to discuss with Sharon the seriousness and the risks. They don't need to give details, but with pushing her away, of course she will ask questions." And, end quote. This is something that Gary had brought up last week, and we talked about on last week's Y&R Chat, that it was, it's hard to have sympathy for Paul and Christine when they are kind of setting this chain of events into motion too. Gary left me a voicemail to kind of reiterate that point this week, and he said, quote, "If Paul didn't want Sharon screwing up the plan, maybe he should have told Dylan's wife and someone who's emotionally fragile what was happening. Maybe she wouldn't have done what she did. Did Paul forget the mental state of both Sharon and Dylan?" I love that you mentioned that, Gary, because I think that there has been sort of an insensitivity to Sharon and specifically an insensitivity to someone who has had emotional problems in the past. They really didn't take that into account, and they just sort of forged through with keeping her in the dark. Gary also mentioned in his voicemail about Paul and Sharon's conversation when he went to go see her. Gary was really zeroing in on the fact that Sharon made a point of saying how she made a mistake when it came to Sully/Christian, yet Dylan was able to forgive her, which is a big thing. He was able to see past what she did that was wrong and love her anyway. And Gary really astutely made the point that was a difference in Sharon's relationship with Dylan as opposed to Sharon's relationship with Nick. That Nick would allow, or he would be the recipient of Sharon doing something crazy, and then he would abandon her. We saw that time and time again. We saw that at Nick and Sharon's last wedding. She lied about the paternity. I would leave her too. If I were Dylan, I would have left her too. But she lied about Summer's paternity, and that was enough to cancel their wedding. The difference in the relationship with Sharon and Dylan was the fact that he stood by her, and I thought that was such a great point, Gary, and I really appreciated that. Connor at YRChat.com. It's so good to hear from you again, Connor. About Devon and Hilary, Connor says, quote, "So Devon says it's over with Hilary. Two things here. Before Devon got his memory fully back, he did mention starting a family. Could Hilary be devious enough to trap Devon with a pregnancy? And is this beginning stages of Devon and Mariah? The signs are all there. Mariah's concern for Devon seems to be pretty genuine, but I do have my doubts. I don't feel enough chemistry between them for them to be romantically involved, but hey, opposites attract," end quote. Connor, first of all, do we know that Hilary and Devon slept together before he stormed off and threw the glass and kicked her out? Do we know if they did? Because right when they came back from GC Buzz, she was trying to love up on him and was suggesting that maybe they get down to the business of starting their family. But I don't know. There was kind of a gap in time. Devon suggested that they should start a family, and that was kind of the end of the episode. And then all of a sudden they were back at GC Buzz, and she had mentioned that she was okay with it when she got back home. So is there any chance that they got down to the business of making that baby before he got mad at her? Maybe. Also about Devon and Mariah, I kind of agree on the chemistry thing. I don't think we're there yet. I think that Mariah does have a genuine concern for Devon, but I'm not sure if it's really translating into a romantic thing yet. I'm sure that a lot of people in Genoa City would be perfectly happy to see Devon with anyone other than Hilary. And Gary had also left a voicemail early in the week. In fact, I got a quote here from Gary. It's Jill continuing to stew over everybody else's life continues to be so lame, end quote from Gary. Yeah, I mean, really, truly, Jill is just a busybody at this point. I love having her back on the show, but when is she gonna kind of get a life of her own when she's not complaining about Billy and Victoria? Now this week she's complaining about Hilary and Devon. Get a life, Jill. Come on. Consuela at yrchat.com says, quote, I'm really enjoying the Reed storyline. It's nothing too crazy, but it adds an interesting element. He's doing typical juvenile stuff. I also hate that Victoria is so uptight when it comes to Reed, and it makes it seem like Reed is more of a burden to her than anything. Like she's not exactly thrilled that he's there, because I think Reed is shattering the perfect life that Victoria had. He's shaking things up. I like it, end quote. Gosh, I kind of agree. I hadn't thought about the fact that Reed is seeming like an inconvenience to Victoria, though. That's sort of an interesting element that I'll have to keep in mind when I'm watching the show next week. I guess I just interpreted it as Victoria feeling lost in this new reality. I'm not sure. I think you're right that the Newmans expect their children to be perfect. All of the residents of Genoa City expect their children to be perfect. Probably every parent wants their child to be well behaved. I don't know if want them to be perfect, but then every child is gonna want to spread their wings at some point and in some capacity to kind of be their own person and develop their own character. And sometimes that does mean experimenting or doing naughty things that you're not supposed to do. But I think, again, as you mentioned, Consuela, that's what makes it an interesting and unique storyline. Oh, I'll end here with, I hope I'm saying your name right. Is it Karishma? Maybe close, maybe I'm close there, at yrchat.com, though, left me another alternate book title for Victor Newman's autobiography. Last week we talked about if Victor is not going to be the CEO of Newman Enterprises, then maybe he should write a book, and we were talking about potential book titles for Victor Newman's book, and Karishma says, quote, I feel like if Victor wrote a book, it should be called Family Loyalty. You got that? End quote. Good one. I like that a lot. It's a good week at Y&R. Well, a good 4 days at Y&R. I'll be happy to get back next week to having 5 full episodes. I feel a little bit cheated when it's a short week, but next week we'll get back on track. I hope that everybody enjoyed the week as much as I did. I hope that there'll be a little bit more to the Dylan storyline. Even if Steve Burton is gone from the show, we're certainly going to get the ramifications of whatever's going down with him. But for me, that's the big cliffhanger. That's what I'm really going to be tuning in to see next week. And we'll come back here next week, next Sunday, to talk about everything that went down. But before that, I would love it if you guys would leave me your comments. Not even just about this past week, but if you want to watch the show with me in the following week and go to the website to leave your comments. I always like hearing what you guys are thinking as you're watching the next week's show. YRChat.com is the website if you want to leave comments there and see all the other goodies that I've got on the website. You can also from there find the Facebook and the YouTube pages, and please feel free to leave comments there. I always get those as well. The voicemail, probably my favorite way to get messages, to hear your voices, is 309-588 4569. I will be reading and loving and coming back to you next Sunday to chat again about our show. So everybody have a good week. I love ya, and I'll see you next time. Bye.